You are watching Eswatini TV. Sibuko semaswati.
If you are to mention the word football right now in the kingdom of Eswatini, the following word that we follow the word football is the embarrassment that has happened to the country following the disqualification of the under-17, the 2020 COSAFA tournament, allegedly issue of age cheating. That's what happened, and that's what has covered us as a country. So if you are to go into CAF or FIFA records right now, we are a country that doesn't have good records so far. But anyone is guilty and is proven guilty once the issue has been put on the table. Hello and welcome. This is Temidlalo. We talk about different issues on the program tonight, including the resumption of other sporting codes. That includes swimming that has already started their activities over the weekend. They had a gala event where we saw some of the swimmers, of course, back to the usual way. We also touch on other sporting codes. Chess being another sporting code that was given a green light. They are also back into actions. They held their regional tournaments. We'll talk about that. Rush to Mbabane Golf Club, where now, knowing that monthly they have been having tournaments to catch up with those months where COVID had stopped the sport. So the Royal Insurance monthly mark, now we can say officially, right now it's up to date, meaning if they are to play right now, they'll be playing for the month of November. Otherwise, moving on, we also touch on other sporting codes that includes pool, where it is now at center stage. Reps now leading the table. We'll talk about that and see where Correctional that has been tipped to win the tournament is going to be based. Sitsebe Samhlekazi is another team that we'll talk about, the national team, where it has also made headlines pertaining to issues of COVID-19. Now, Manchester United are in the National First Division. Now, the Manchester United we're talking about is not the one from England. The one in England is already in the Premiership. This one is the one from the Kingdom of Eswatini. So they've been granted a green light to proceed with the National First Division this coming season after defeating Mhlamanyasi Community. All that in the next 57 minutes or so. I'll be in the company of Linda Dlamini. However, what we'll be saying there is that we're not pointing any fingers. We're not trying to push someone away. We're not trying to hurt someone. We're all about the interest of the public. Is this okay for the public? Is this what we want for the country? Nguvusele Ngosi.
Fabrice ngiyabonga sibalwa ngivusele ngikutithuba lokukhulu ngivusele emalwelo yasekhaya.
Konakele man Ngosi.
Konakele kakhulu Fabrice, but on a brighter side, events abe successful la hostiwe la ekhaya, ukhuluma ngayo swimming gala lebe khona a 19-year-old winile, ukhulume ngayo i-chess lebeyidlalwa ngicabanga ukuthi nayo idlalwa kahle kakhulu. So diningi letinvo letingasho ukuthi tibe ma positives, but njoba ngishilo ukuthi 19-year-old won ngala 19-year-old mbamba ayi lo fojile umnyaka uyambona ukuthi is 19, but ngala kulamanye ama sports ngicabanga ukuthi so ungihlekani Fabrice
athi maza ngiputhe ukuunderstand ukuthi uyakuphi ngenzabe 19 ka swimming ngikhani ngounderstand ukuthi cha lokusho wena uzama ukusho ukuthi lamanye ama sporting codes ungambuka umdlalo uthi evele ngu19. So ngikhani ngounderstand bengilahlekelwe mbamba. Okay, ngiyakufa Ngosi.
So ngicabanga ukuthi ngilethe timvo lengathi tibe more positives la chamngile ngeweekend kule timvo betendeka la ekhaya, even though the much loved sports lo ibhola kunetimvo mhlambe labanenge labakhala kungathi lebeva ngathi sibe embarrassed as a nation.
Sikufuna lapho ke Dlamini wethu, sikufuna lapho ngoba what I'm telling the viewers is that we for now will be starting with our sporting course, but we will reserve that issue to the end. Now, utsinze inzabe swimming, Kalatina Master. This is a sporting code, Lamin. Beba gu COVID-19, restriction and everything. They couldn't cope, and then they were amongst the sport that were put on hold. But we after HM yabo executive lensha nyalo nje, they are back into action. This is one of the players that we normally use for competition in Jabulwen. Na ukhuluma ngegala, ukhuluma ngama athletes that you saw on the day, ukhuluma na age, ngitsandzile ukuthi utsinze indaba ye age. Lokunye lokutsandzile about the athletes on the day. What can you tell us, Flamin?
Enjabulweni sibonile njoba usho ukuthi bekunegala khona very very young promising swimmers leswabonile khona enjabulweni njoba ngishilo ukuthi lo winile the eventual winner on the day Luca Fraser, a 19-year-old. Lengicabanga ukuthi Fabrice bayihoste kahle for a very long time bona bebak break because vele bekunale issue ukuthi bona bay high risk sport, but lama swimming pools abo but akutshela ukuthi bona bakhona faka ichlorine ke siyathi ukuthi iyalivikela vele igciwane. So ngicabanga ukuthi kubuya koswimming dinto letiningi basikhombisile losi batawubuyisa nama competitions ba ready host ama competitions siyibonele lasenjabulweni by host successfully.
Mhlawumbe Master, at this point in time the viewer is asking himself siyathi ukuthi they were given a green light about a month or two, something they aren't we a bit behind, and ukuba ukuthi sorry, we've got an athlete in the name of Smanga Dlamini who has to be part of Lama qualifiers or rather competitions for the upcoming Olympic Games. Ukuthi maybe that delay labenayo abroad bona they have been training for quite some times. Won't you say maybe for international competitions vele sidabane challenge ukuthi ngikhani sibuyisa iswimming?
Ngicabanga ukuthi vele the athletes ngikhulumela masumazi ngalesikhathi lesi kudzinga ukuthi abrace effort yawo lokusho ukuthi adouble effort yawo because babe very unfortunate ukuthi iswimming iphutile kubuyiswa lengicabanga ukuthi njengoba sihlale siyathi ukuthi iyona le pandemic levelile akabe mhlambe imvo yemuntu, so ngicabanga ukuthi kude labangamblame for ama preparations la kuma Olympics kwamele ukuthi ba qualify ba kuma Olympics. Ngikhuluma ngasimanga lekumele ukuthi vele siyamata ukuthi zawa number 1 top swimmer lesinalo kumele ukuthi vele ajime ngitikhandla atimisele kakhulu kusuka nyalo kuya kulama qualifiers.
And nothing can be judged at this point in time. I mean, it was the first event since the return of the sport itself. Different individual on the day, including Labapetse Nhlangano Swimming Association, Labapetse different executive committee, and the athletes themselves had something to say after the results. We talk about the 19-year-old winner that Master talked about, but listen to this first. The 19-year-old winner that Master talked about, but listen to this first.
So sizathu sale gala le bekunika abantwana lelithuba lekuthi babuye lamhla batothola ticket stop ngiloyo naloyo abone ukuthi uqala kuphi lo secala isizini. So expectedly vele ticket stop ocishe tingaphansanyana kulelo jwayelekile. Nocha ama techniques masiwabuka cishe angiwo ngoba prior to this gala bese baqalile in the last 4 weeks ba polish ama techniques abo basebenza nabo coach babo. So from a technique execution point of view, no, sinetisekile lokuthi technique cishe kahle kula nje ekucineni kwabo nestamina lekungona sisibona lokho ngathi siyashota lekungisona really lesi affected i-cut stub labo vele nje yaqala nje the Mpumalanga Chaps le taba se Nelspruit sevele sesiregistile bantwana ama submissions abawentile sports council naso sidila naso to comply nema document requirements. Sevele sesiregistile nabantwana batmisele kuyenkhona. Before that one sifuna kuzama kufaka one more gala le taba prepareshela for the international trip. Athletes latawa attend the Olympics nje silungiselela wona in December immediately after Mpumalanga Champs early December, but yaqhubekela bona baye a high performance center Tswana la kunkhona they will get the professional training le lingene lelizinga labo. So those will be the startups. We have a series of such trainings like specialized like abalungiselela. Let's go identify is to go back to grassroots and strengthen grassroots. What we're having now is a generation lag with swimming, let's identify. So in one of the ways that we're going to solve that is to improve our talent identification pool, is to strengthen our grassroots and begin to strengthen our programs. But right now we do have athletes in the range about 13, 14 group lekon. You start a lot of effort to ensure that they are polished and they begin to hit the type of times that are credible globally. But on a larger scale, certainly strength set will lie to really go back and invest heavily within the grassroots development. All these small programs called the Learn to Swim program, NASMA support and create the structures that will ensure succession planning for us and ultimately to get our levels to the elite section in terms of global swimming standards.
The coronavirus has definitely affected us a lot. We haven't been able to train. We've only just been training for the last 3 or 4 weeks, so we're not up to our standards as we were before coronavirus, yeah. Well, we are training very hard. I'm training very hard in the mornings and at least 7 sessions a week. So it's building up my fitness. So I think I'm just going to carry on doing that and I should be back to where I was.
And of course, first, it was Jede, who is the president of the Swimming Association. Later on, came in one of the top athletes in the association. Now, Jede mostly was explaining how the situation is currently on the ground. We would see in Kanbabuya with the first competition, but in the background, we would see prior to the main event, athletes had time to be with the coaches. We would see in the grassroots programs, we would see very babugile, would see kakurugati, batawahamba tongeti funza, bazame ukusukumisa inzaba grassroots program. Master, ukhuluma ngama techniques ukuthi ba happy first international competition one Esprit Mpumalanga. I think they will make sure they take part of it. Yes, that's it. But then when you look at the figures, we touch about the age and everything. When you look about the figures, when you talk about a gala dinner, you need 15 years old, you need 13-year-olds, do you get the true reflection, Master? Without going to MRA, let's start later on. But this is swimming. There's nothing against football association or football itself. But you talked about a player who's na umbuga when master would say nangabe 10 una 10, nangabe una 9 una 9. Without even usofuna kubuki birth certificate no me ID nangabe a 9. Yes, from the players you are watching.
First, Fabrice ngicabanga ukuphambala telwimi ngitsite Luca Fraser is 19 kan una 10.
10.
Yes, una 10. A 10-year-old.
Yes.
Imagine. But break the record, a 19-year-old record.
Oh, the record has been there for 19 years. Since 1991.
Exactly.
Good correction, Master. Yes.
So ngicabanga ukuthi nabakhuluma ngegrassroots siyabantu ukuthi kunabo coach ka swimming laba very good, laba passionate, more especially kuma young swimmers bobo welcome in Hlabathi. Yes. Ngicabanga ukuthi basemsebenzini lo kahle and nawuva ukuthi batawuthasa la swimmers bahambe bayobona sport even nabo pitol. So ngicabanga ukuthi involve lethu leti kahle because some of them private schools in South Africa vele swimming bayithatha serious kakhulu. So ngicabanga nje ukuthi this is the right time now, this is the right way yona swimming iye phambili.
There we have it. Now we keep in touch with the Eswatini Swimming Association to find out some of the programs, of course, that they have put in place in preparations for international competitions. Now, moving on is the Chess Federation. Over the weekend, they also had their first competition, or rather tournament, since the return to action, since COVID-19 stopped them back in March. Now, the federation hold what you call a regional competition. Now, through the regional competition, they're able to get those who qualify for the national championships. The national championships will be on the 20th of December, which means it's this coming December, in a month's time, or 17 days left before the main event. This is the area, Master, a city court in Baban. Lama athletes, the ones coming from different regions, we see the compliance as we see the pictures. But Master, this is another sport it's good to have it back. It was quite, and banned by it sounds very.
Yeah. It was good kubona yona lo mdlalo lo ubuyile umdlalo we-chess njengoba soshilo ukuthi bobanjelwe khona asithi court madutane nje nasembawane clinic. So ngicabanga ukuthi kubuya kwayo basho nabo bathi bayafisa ukuthi babuye batayilandzela yonke imithetho lebibekiwe ihulumende exam ukuvikela kunganzi kumkhuhlane. Bakwendile lokho Fabrice sibonile ukuthi ama sanitizer bebakhona even nalabadlali bebasenabadlala bawafakile ama mask cishe bonke bawafakile ama mask. Njengoba soshilo ke Fabrice ukuthi this tournament bekuyi regional championship lama winners la winile la kulama regional championship aya kuma national champion. I'm very very happy ngale format lokuthi kuqala ema regional championship kushayane le kuma regions dithi singashana le kuma regions bese kuphuma the best le kuma regions bangikhathi ba national championship atasafika nje national championship kube kudibane the champions from all the 4 regions of Eswatini.
This is an association master if you talk about some of the associations nangu Mr. President Dumsani Msibi displaying the compliance effort.
Nathi ngito leti ndlela Fabrice leto labakhuluma ngato ukuthi batawuzama ukuthi vele batilandzele njengoba sathi ukuthi konke labadlala ngako bekudzinga ukuthi vele bakusanitize konke including nalabadlali nabo bangenile baskenwa ba check temperature babhaliswa naleti nombolo ke beti very 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 limited lapha ekhathi kulabe badlalela khona. So ngicabanga nje ukuthi cishe konke bakulandzelile bahambe kahle.
Master yini ngathi lokubuyela kwama sporting courts some of them kancane bese siyabona ukuthi cha I think they have a chance to progress with that program. Nangabe vele every time before you get to a chess area via sanitizer they sanitize all the products, then they take temperatures. The meter is almost there. Now buga where the opposite opponent is seated. Imask corner. So see noma akuluma, but there's no chances of displaying la drops of which it's a sport. Nagularo vele akukulunye. There's that total silence.
There's one thing I like about chess. Nandlala anokhuluma,
so there is silence.
Kubenza du ukusebenzisa ingqondo kuphela ube focus lapha yonke imove lendeka kulapha kudzinga ukuthi ube focus utishaya itibalo takho winde konke ubenzile. So ngicabanga ukuthi vele indzaba nje ukukhuluma ayikho ayisentshitiswa vele ama masks wafakile nje ngalo sivele phela umthetho uthi awafakwe vele, but le sports sona sithi vele akungakhulunywa ungemvu akadlali lo mdlalo abenzile.
In preparations for the national championships to be held on the 20th of December this year, of course the association has put so much energy for the big day, the big occasion to come. This is Dumsani Msibi, the president of the association, expressing or rather explaining how much confident they are that athletes will perform duly on the national champs. Listen to him.
Sibe excited kakhulu ukuthola le thuba ukuthi sibenze sibuye kutodlala nakule sithi over the board lokuthi lokuthi tsinza lama pieces umdlalo ke sibone competition bese tulu kakhulu there were a lot of surprises kubadlali bethu kwabonakala ukuthi labanye vele bebatimisele na kule covid bebangakahlali phansi bebatilolonga. So the games were very very interesting. Sizesabuka nje ukuthi ngathi vele ungathi kutawubulawana ku national championship ngoba lo winner konje la so vele uthole slot sakhe sokudlala ku national championship.
Bengakahlali ukuthi ngoba nakusey lockdown angisale ngihlala cha bengipreparation throughout la onke lama holiday lockdown.
Lokukhanzela namuhla amasoda ama-opponents akho kanjani?
Ayeva but
lokukhanzela ama-opponents akho akhanza kanjani namuhla mawudlala?
Cishe yongana nje le tournament bekude opponents le ngathi beyilula. I had to fight ukuze ngithole onke lamawini lawa lemawini. Yeah, ipressure ihlala ikhona abanyalo beyivela ikhona. Nalokuthi I have to defend isikhala sami ku team ye leave. So ipressure leyo kuyabaye nje. But ngiyethemba indawo uqhubeka ngento kahle nakhona ku nationals.
They have it. The association's president, Dumsani Msibi, in the company of Simpiwe Dlamini, the winner on the day, who expressed his joy. And he also details that Gutsi, like Bonira on the day, the preparations, the level of compliance and competitions, it was high. I mean, as Nasbugala on the screen, and Dongbonero on the day the compliance is there, which means athletes, the players have been exercising their minds and readiness at home.
Yes, Fabrice, uvile nale level yale competition ngicabanga beyisetulu kakhulu umvile athi bekumele ukuthi akhiphe nenzawo yakhe agcine inzawo yakhe ku national team, and the competition was too high. Vele be tense kakhulu le competition, so ungete wabona lokuthi labadlali bebak break isikhathi lesizwe. Ngicabanga ukuthi chess ayifanani nalamanye ama sports kuthi ungena emgwaqweni uyogijima kuthi kanje rusile ngqondo yakho ibe focus uhlala uconcentrateile, so angiboni ukuthi vele bona kakhulu baphathamisekile ngale break. Just that nje sonke sport setting ngalotho ubos practice ubozidlala njalo utowafunza njalo lama moves akho.
Slowly but surely getting the other sporting codes that have been given a green light include the likes of rugby, your basketball, your volleyball. They will also get a chance. Even these other sporting codes we just touched on, your swimming and chess, at some point they were not allowed, but they are back into action. Another sport that has been back into action for quite some time is golf. Golf, knowing it, they are already far in terms of organizing competitions such as where we talk about golf and expressing how ready they are. We're talking about where now in Babane, mostly under the Royal Insurance Corporation monthly mark, they're up to speed, which means when they started, they were covering some of the monthly marks they couldn't play. Find that if they were playing in June, they're covering a competition in March. Nyalo, sikhuluma ukuthi November master, badlalisa November.
Yes, Fabrice, ukhuluma liqiniso sekuNovember badlalisa November. You remember ukuthi nabanikwa imvume ukuthi ababuye badlale. Baqala emuva kuleti nyanga litasala nabathatha i-break. Batincenga last week nje bedlalwa inyanga ya October. This past weekend ke bedlalwa inyanga ya November. Ngicabanga ukuthi even nama players now vele besakafuna ukuthi loka adlale awine umumvunga November, awine inyanga ya November. So ngicabanga ukuthi yona imbabane iphushile iwadlalile lama games awu la sponsors by RSC. Ngicabanga ukuthi even the golfers are happy. Golf ibuyile, they are playing every week. So ngicabanga ukuthi vele imbabane seyade ukuthi tinvo tayitenda kanjani, bona bafuna ihlale kude i-tournament embabane. So ngicabanga ukuthi even the winners siyathi ukuthi usebenza kupha kwakhuluma ngalinye langa sabona khona lo sebenza khona emaphoyiseni kwaba na 2 laba winako nalomunye lwaba irana up waba semaphoyiseni nalomunye beka retire. Even this past weekend ngilo laba sebenza emaphoyiseni. So ngicabanga ukuthi incumbi yabo but awufuna lokujoina abafuna lokubamba le competition.
Mhlawumbe one question that will rise is that when you talk about Temidlalo every Monday, at some point there's a sport called golf that will be involved. One thing that we assure is that if a sporting code is doing well, we won't shy away from talking about them. This is a sport that is doing well. We've never had issues with them in terms of how they are complying with different issues. So if they're doing well, we talk about them. Athletics, if they're doing well, we talk about them. High jump, if high jump is doing well, we'll talk about them. It's about fair and truly being fair to what we're saying.
In fact, Fabrice, sasengakhumbula nje bengizokhuluma ngawo umbufu maphoyisa. Even nalakhaya sakhumbula ukuthi our very own Taribo wawina. Sengiyakhumbula ukuthi lakhaya sinehlaba necishe incumbanyana. Ukhona Taribo udlala igolf nasebholeni ke siyamati kakhulu na tech ball ukhona Sipho Mavimbela uyadubula
shooting. Siyasikhuluma na shooting futhi kwanyaro ba imidlalo yabo imisiwe. Nayibuya and they are doing well. We talk about them.
Sitawukhuluma nabo.
And if they don't do well, we talk about them not doing well.
Exactly. Sitawukhuluma ukuthi abendi kahle ini. Ukhona na touch Thabiso Mthethwa kuma aerobics, one of the best ku Sadak region.
Yeah, nyalo ngathi kunenhlangano bathi ngCAF.
Yeah.
Le bukethi nzabathe aerobics within the region.
Yes.
Is a member there.
Ukhona naye lapho. So ngicabanga ukuthi
sinawe master uka tech ball.
Okay.
Ngathi ma-association yonke akhona ekhaya.
Cishe onke so sisaye sithi mina ngeke ngithi cishe onke ama-corporate awazama lokuthi that sport department sibe khona wonke umuntu abe represented ade umuntu uthi nangabe udecide ukudlala sibhakela simsupport lezo lo msebenzi wakhe nangabe afuna ukudlalela igolf aka represent yena kutawuthiwa Fabrice Msonela Eswatini TV so ngicabanga ukuthi tonke le timvo lotsuke utenda usukutendela kahle umqashi wakho.
Not only did they catch up with their monthly activities, this is Royal Insurance monthly mark. The winners, of course, expressed their joy after winning this month tournament. This is some of the winners and other people to take part of the monthly mark at the Mbabane Golf Course. Take a look at this.
Ngijabule kakhulu because lamuhla for the first time ngikhonele kuwina i-mark ngikhonele kuwina i-gross ngaphinza ngakhona kuwina i-net something lengakase ngayenda empilweni yami eqinisweni lonke i-net benginako ukuthi ngahle ngiwine i-net because for the past 3-4 tournaments lebese wadlala e-SRIC was just around there bengidlala bo 70 net consecutively, and then the last time I played 67 if I remember very well. Then today I played 65 net, but coming to the cross is the first time I'm winning cross, and I never had it vele engqondweni yami singahle ngiwini cross bengide vele engqondweni singahle ngiwini cross, but ngijabule kakhulu lamuhla for the first time after so many years ngiyayiwini cross lamuhla.
Kunescore emva kwakho siyabona lokuthi udlale kahle kakhulu ku second 9 yakho
yes.
36
yes
flat
yes
uqhamuka lo
36 ngawuthi I made how many I made a birdie out of the 9 holes and then a bogey, and then the rest of the holes, which means 7 holes ngadlala emaphas. Even that score of 36 is the first time in 36 holes. My best score of 9 holes was 38-9, not very long ago, I think 2-3 weeks back. And nakhona bezidlala the very same tournament, Esric monthly mark, ngadlala 38. So even though 36 flat it's a good score lengakase ngazidlala so long ngaba khona ku golf, and I'm happy as well ukuthi I managed to achieve 36 gross on a single 9 hole.
Kokugcina ngiyathi ukuthi uyahappy ushita nasekuqaleni but siyathi ukuthi namuhla ke iMbabane Golf Club iyaqala ukukhanza since COVID lemidlalo yale manga.
Yes.
Ingabe how does it feel nje ukuthi sikuNovember namuhla
yes.
and uphethe commission November?
Kuyangijabulisa kakhulu because labayo baselo badlala athi inkomishini yasemuva bawine ngaNovember, uthola ukuthi usizala November win inkomishini yaJuly, but the committee has done very well. Mbabane Golf Club has done very well kwekuthi bawadlalisela ama tournament aze afike la khona whereby ngaNovember ndlala tournament yaNovember lekusikhetha lethemba ukuthi sizakhona kuyicetha within the 2020 schedule sa 2020 because kusho ukuthi next month kutabe kudlala yanga December kanti vele ngiDecember, so that next year sicale kabosha umnyaka lomusha nangabe itinto ethamba kahle.
Siyabonga isikhathi sakho.
Sibonge kakhulu Mr. Bembe.
Now, if there are records to be kept, Sipho Mahlalela will have a record at some point to say within the year of 2020, when the entire world was hit by COVID-19, he was the first winner of Royal Insurance Corporation of the month that is meant to be that month. Lakashito vele nabanye bebawine July kanzi ngo-October. Yena is the first winner. And uyambona ukuthi ujabulile mas.
Ujabulile kakhulu ngicabanga ukuthi njengoba ngishile ekuqaleni ngathi kuwina for le nyanga leyo nangabe ubekudlalela November wina ngaNovember ngicabanga ukuthi invele enkulu kakhulu. Fabrice ngicela kuvetana kancane. I know ukuthi bayatibutela abanye ukuthi uphethele intingomishi leting 2 ka golf kuba ne cross ne net. Siyathi ukuthi ema golfers
umholo na cross na net.
Yes. Siyathi ukuthi kuma golfers kuba nanaki lokuthiwa ama handicapped Mahlalela beka handicapped 8 lokusho ukuthi nakadlala ke njoba sibona ukuthi sorry 11 uyadlala ke udlala inet yakhe it's 65
usikomisa line number 3 because there is still meaning there is Mhlongo, then there is Mahlalela.
Yes, Mahlalela handicapped 11 kuthi uyadlala ke afike 65 inet yakhe but le gross ibese sekuthiwa le net plus lo handicapped sekuphuma 76
so see 65 handicap plus lo net it gives you the gross.
Yeah, the gross
Okay.
Yes.
That's
Yena ke uthope konke kulo net nalo cross.
He's a man of many talents, but let's see how he does well when it comes to pool. Master pool over the weekend, they were also into action, knowing that their league is at its best right now. It's where we want it to be. Now, Bugarama results. There is a game we give attention, but this is the overall results over the weekend. But the game, number 3, between France and Figa, starts the Kurumisa Ganganes Buge, the mind games Abekon over the weekend. But way in against Matlanya, 13, 4, you look at Stays and you look at Masters, Nambuga correctional, we need against Masters, but reps. Look at also another victory against Botswana.
Remember the last time sikhuluma ngayo ipool i-correctional behamba ngetulu ima-reps angaphasi and bona bebane game in hand ngasho ngathi if bangakhona ukuthi bayiwine leyo game in hand, in fact bona batimoshe kule game ekuqala cause badlala 2 ama-games kulenye weekend bayidliwa yinye bayiwina lelenye, so babuyile ke Fabrice bakhona ukuthi bawine, but nje this weekend I must say ukuthi sibone some of the best games lengasho ukuthi sike swabukela over the past 2 or 3 months khona kaphule, because the tactics labe kasentshentiswa lapha etafuleni, even the mind games labe kasentshentiswa lapha etafuleni. I'm very very happy.
Usakhuluma ngale game master kwanyalo sibukela some of the clubs that were involved over the weekend, ukhuluma ngabo way in, ukhuluma ngamahlalela, but the game bese sifuna ukuthi sisidakhuluma kafishane ngayo. It's the game between France ne Figa. This is the game utsinze kancane indaba yema mind games where we saw the secret within this sport ukuthi ngakhona kuwina njani, reserving some of your nanzaneni, your tactics.
France bese iselene black ball.
Where we are right now, the yellow, it's for Figa.
Yes.
So France is selling a black.
France is selling a black. Sorry, did happen to develop it from? Sikhuluma kabani. Iyadlala iFrance, idlala neFiga. Iyalida iFrance egamini. Idlala kahle cishe igame yonke. Nayidlala isale ne black ball. Nayisala. Cause bona badlale kahle kusukela ekuqaleni. Ifiga ilandzele ngemuva because igame abakayiqali kahle.
This is France. So France, they are in green, Figa they're in blue, just to give the viewer a clear view. Now this blue, it's not the kit of the players. Green is France, blue is Figa. So ubusicazela ngale ndaba yokuthi
ukuthi France yes iqale kahle le game yayidlala yayivula le gap bawafaka cishe emabhola abo bona badlala ngalo blue emabhola la blue. France badlala basala ne black ball. Ngabasala ne black ball iFiga yasala na 4 lo yellow. Lokusho ukuthi lapho France ishodelwa nje ngeblack ukuthi imfake iwine igame. Kodwa ngake ngasho ngalenye la ngase kuyakube likhuni Fabrice kudlala nemumvu lo smart nangabe wona soselena yinye na aselene amabhola lamaningi, because lo mumvu loyo bakubita ke kaphulu bathi kubhaqa. Yes, bayakhona lokubhaqa.
So Nyaro right now uyabhaqa nje ngendlo iveta ngayo.
Yes, lokubhaqa. Labanye ke because iyona iFiga iwinile the first 2 games. Labanye bangivamse kuvala mbabane bathi bakhona kushwila bashwile bakhona kuyiwina igame but dinvolete njengoba ngishilo ngathi ma tactics lento wako kaphule uyayithi na uthotho yibekile le bhola ashwile lo mvu le bhola ikhona lokuthi ibuye ithole le black or ashaye lo cushion ibuye ishayelo black. Ngiyo le game lesikhuluma ngayo le. Usele black. Usele 4 laba yellow for Figa. Kudzinga ukuthi ambhacele angakhone lokuyidlala le black kalula.
So ubeke Dabo yellow back in a position where he can't play.
In a properly. Position lo se angakhona
ukudlala. Athethe bo yellow back embi wakhe. Laza mkhanze kusenalo play.
Labo yellow Fabrice no wadlala lamabhola akho umbhacela lo. At the same time wasethela ukuthi na ubuya uyakhona kwafaka o uphinza ubhaca. nanginje lona ishaya yellow akangeni.
So udlala ama mind games.
So luyabhaca. So lufuna lokubhaca lokusilona lo black angamdlali kahle. Uyayibuka uyayigeja black ball. Ushaya yellow wema opponents. Seng too short loyo.
Now the viewers at home, master siba mele nabo kubuka ukuthi kwendeka nama I'm intrigued to find out. So Selena 2 abo yellow.
So Selena 2 abo yellow. Lo mnye solo Selena black.
Solo Selena 1. And lo munye solo ne black.
Solo ne black.
Asisicubele sibukele mas. It's interesting. It might not be live but it's interesting.
Wamfaka yellow wakhe lo sel.
So ufuna nokushaya no black.
Sekumela saladila ngathi black.
See?
And ku black final because wamgeja without qhamka France ifika imfaka. Fortunately for him wagcina ifakile black. Why win game?
Wow. A lot of mind games in different sporting codes. Umbuto losala ukuthi such mind games, why are they not working in other sporting codes where we also want them to work? Now, this is the Reps captain expressing how the game went for them since they are currently leading the table. Listen to him.
Hayi game beyilikhulu kakhulu njengoba nawo ubonile lapha kumadima ukuthi into lebeyilula bezama nasilokhu semandleni kodwa nje angeke sithi le team bezidlala nayo nasi bezivele sitawina kodwa nje ngicabanga ukuthi bestilungiselele kangcono ngoba sikhona ukuphumelela. We need more training nalokuthi ke nalaba lezidlala nabo beba equally strong, so sicabanga ukuthi vele bekungasiwe into game lelula nasi nje siyabonga ukuthi sigcine siphumelele.
Ingabe le win lena inweka kuphi nje ku table?
Ngicabanga ukuthi itaqhubeka isibeke ku number 1 kodwa nje laba labasilandzelako basemuva ngegame, so ngicabanga ukuthi nabo nabatawudlala kahle bawine batawukhona sibese baba number 1 so sibuya siba number 2.
There have it. That was Norman Koza, Royal Eswatini Police Services pool captain, where he was expressing where the fight is going to be going and how they will keep keep the track with the correction, of course, knowing that they're one of the teams that gives them a problem when it comes to competition. This is another sport that we'll look at as the year progresses. Now, this is the table. I mean, they're leading the table, but having a game in hand, if you look at the P, means they have played 13 games. Correctionally, on a say 12 were games. And if you look at Lamapu's master, it's just a point. I mean, now we would see there is how many games to be played still, a lot of games to be played. So you can't really confidently say, so kashan tahamba na. True.
Because this week correctionally number 1. The next week reps in number 1. So vele ngumgicum let's start bola because correctional in a game in hand reps idlale 13 games, correctional idlale 12. So if kuthi 13 iwina correctional tawhlala ngetulo. So uyabona ukuthi vele le competition lesiyifunako vele kaphulu le seyidzinga because kutophakamisa ne national team yethu. So ngicaba ukuthi this year le league kuba strong kakhulu Fabrice.
Wow, another sporting code that we keep in touch to see how things are going. As we can see on the screen, these are some of the activities that were taking place over the weekend. We'll keep you in touch and find out how every Monday on the show, how is the table looking like, who won over the weekend, who is in charge of things in terms of the table. Now, moving on, we now touch on the hot topics where the country currently, when we talk about football, like I highlighted earlier on, when we mention the word football, there is a lot that comes in everyone's heart, the ambitions that they wish they had for the small teams, the so-called young teams. Now, we've touched about how the national team needs to do a lot. So the hopes have been on the younger boys under 17. Now, this is how the journey started. About a week ago on Sunday, they were, bid farewell at the technical center Lubamba, where they were told to go and represent well the country. This is the pictures at the technical center Lubamba, master, about over a week ago. Comfort show. Telling the players not to be scared when they get there. They might see lama opponents la kulile, but they shouldn't be worried. This is the delegation that bid farewell to the team. So the team left on Sunday, and their first game was on Thursday, last week Thursday. They were against the so-called small Bafana boys, the under 17 of Bafana. This is a team that left in the leadership of Edwin Matsebura. They lost their first game against South Africa 2-0. So the feeling was that in their group of Angola and Zimbabwe, maybe Titaushinja team. Kutswa Friday in midday around, not to be specific with the time, but around the lunch hour, after lunch, reports were emerging that the Kingdom now has been told that they can go and fetch their team. We've been charged for age cheating. Master, you were shocked, you were hurt, you were embarrassed as a football fan, but maybe to give us a viewer a clear understanding what happened. If I get a apology to the public ministry, if I get a response to the media, a football association expressing that they were shocked. Football association says they were shocked. They were shocked. When you are shocked again, master, shocked. Ne? If I say, master, Pumala, uvaromnyang, and then you do it and I see you doing it, and then you come back and say, master, uvaromnyang, you'll be shocked. How? I closed the door in front of you. That's a shock, which means you did what you were supposed to be doing, but you are shocked that I'm accusing you that you didn't do it. So Gutswa, they are shocked right now in their media release. So they say they did the test. We talk about the tests later on, what is MRA and all those things. But master,
it's like I knew. Because on Thursday, Slena Patizula ngakhuluma kancane MRI nange cheating. That ngalelanga edlala ama under 17. I'm still gonna go and find the clip lebe ngikhuluma ngayo last week. But ngicabanga ukuthi le tindzaba litaphuma Friday tindzaba letingasito tinhle Fabrice ukuthi ama under 17 ethu ayabuya because of some of ema players awekho eligible to play kuma under 17 because scan noma MRI it's the aba deserve kudlala kuma under 17. Le ngicabanga ukuthi as a football fan, as a patriotic Liswati, I'm very hurt because kusifakela Stombele sibi ebholeni yonke emhlabeni. In fact they were busy khona bengikhuluma nabe South Africa but guys niyacheata because leligama lekuthi sichithile angeke lisuke emlonyeni nobamvu but niyacheata yethi niyadliwa. Why nikwende lokho? So ngicabanga ukuthi ngiko leti inhlamba vele le started fola from bamvu bangaphandle for the next year or maybe 2 years, who knows. But i-football association ku response yayo bese seyasho yathi nayo iyamangala nje obushilo wasi iyamangala ukuthi ema results abuye kuthiwa labanye badlali abekho emvumo ukuthi bangadlala ama under 17 yet bona bayenda ema test before badlali bahambe baye South Africa kudlala ema under 17.
Sishito ukuthi when you come here will be a bit realistic. We're not accusing anyone. They have appealed actually from the reports we're getting. Sayikhuluma ngayo MRA kuthi lo mshina lonjani waqala ukhona nje uhlala ukhona esibhedlela but lo mshina lona kuze kuthi bebholeni kakhulu. It was back in 2009 master during the under 17 FIFA World Cup lapho khona FIFA yabona ukuthi kuze kuthi kube fair to some competition especially under 17 let the machine be applied. Now kuthiwa ndawucala umshina sibona on the screen kuthiwa lo mshina u99% accurate.
Yes.
Nangabe accurate
99% accurate.
Yes. Tinenge lethi 99% accurate angithi. There's a lot of things medical wise.
DNA 99.9.
Asikho ma medical expert but we are journalists. So master kuthiwa lo mshina to test a player, one player, it's around 10,000. Test one player. No, if you're living with a team of about 20 players, short budget it's about 200,000.
Yeah.
Asisho ukuthi ibabetele mali. We don't say that.
And was it possible ukuthi bebangakhokha le mali leyo our own football association?
What we're not saying they didn't. Yes. We're putting the facts there. Nangabe kutesta umdlali munye i10,000 le mali. So kutsiwani ke nanyalo nase kutesta 20 noma 24 depending of the delegation yakho. That's 2. 3 now we move kancane master ngathi as a player lota udlala kuma under 17 there is a process. You are young when you're under 17. Ngeke umtali ahlale ngathi ukuthi umdlali wami umfana wami ukhashana umele leave so futhi umthetho kufanele bamatise ukuthi cha umfana wakho uyahamba utawumelela leave.
In fact iFabrice umfana lo ngaphasi kwa 18
true
nakahamba
usanga MRI machine.
This is a MRI machine la ungena khona ucheck. In fact na ungena kulo machine lona Fabrice la labakuhlola kakhulu bahlola le bathi lelithambo la kule waist la ngasesandleni.
True.
Lelithambo leli bathi it is very rare gokuthi lingabe seliya developer so ungedluli kwa 17 usesengaphasi kwa 17 so na ungena lapha kulo machine la kutshengisa lokho
sho ukuthi Ansu Fati is 18 no mean Ansu Fati about a year ago was 17 udlala eBarcelona so noma amkhulu emthimbeni but lo mshini abengeke ukuthi ethe Ansu Fati mncane
noma ngaba mkhulu kanganani Fabrice in fact lenzabe emshini kasasibe ecele nasesikhuluma nayinzabe ema affidavit kuthi nangabe uhamba as an 18 year old under 18 lokusho ukuthi wena umntalo wakho utawubhala affidavit but some of ema reports athi lamanye ama players ema affidavit akakhonalo usambe wendiwe emakhaya ema reports asho njalo. Okay ke Fabrice it's okay lo
ushothi lo kunemvana lo wasuka wahamba wayekumelela live umndeni wakhe ungathe ukuthi uhambe
i-affidavit from le family ingabhalwa
magnetic resonance image MRI yes
kodwa asesingakubuki kakhulu lokho ama affidavit bangaki bantwana kulama under 17 labe bacecile esikolweni because siyathi ukuthi sina simaswati mina nje esikolweni ka grade 1 ngamcala ngina 6
true
yabona
mayembe ngicela ukuthi sikubuke emoyeni nakhuluma le mvulu ukhuluma ngayo because ngicabanga ukuthi iview mhlawumbe itagcina ilahlekile ithi ibukele kubukela kanti ngifune sikubone uyichaza le mvulu ichaza uthini master uthi umfana naqala score uqala una ngakweminyaka mostly
there were some players labe babhala vele ama exams abo laba ka under 17 but some of them basicedzile isikolo.
So in most of the squad of players we send they should be still in high school.
Vele ma under 17 kumele ngabasa high school njengoba ngisho ukuthi la kithi siyathi ukuthi umfana ungena under 6 lokusho ukuthi utasicedza isikolo
baningi labacedzile high school kathini
utasicedza utambhala from 5 under 17 if aqale under 6 utambhala from 5 under 17 lokusho ukuthi sigathe ukuthi bonke lama under 17 abese high school if socedzile esikolweni wena shothi esikolweni ucedze wena una 16 noma 15 which is impossible.
Okay, now there's a protection here. This is where now, as we keep looking at, see, this is the machine that we're talking about, the MRA. Again, another possibility is, Master would see, it is possible would see mine, Fabrice Musonera, umtare wa minangcala grade 1, ngiyabekisa, bengina 6, but maybe waparisa 5, do you understand? But logo go on paper. I understand ukuthi go on paper ukuthi instead of ukubhalisa ukuthi ngaqala in grade 1 ngina 7 wabhala ukuthi ngina 5 umtari wami kuzama ukuthi kuyendeka letimvo lethu but still as not a parent now this is labantu lababukele bhola isn't it responsibility ukubona ukuthi ayimani lapha lokho ngeke kwendeke ngoba the player really doesn't look like he's 16 or 17 uyambuka umuntu la 17
okay Fabrice asenguchazela nakho mina mangifika high school ndokubeka nje kube clean tinvo letendekako nangifika high school bengidlala elite lokusho ukuthi la the senior squad but ema under 17 aqualify
Sakile Shongo we're not picking fingers but this is on the screen
yes angifuna isikhulume ngebadlali ukuthi lona unganani uma ngifika uma qualify ema under 17 kuthi asayodlala ka national sisithe uba ngu4 sase siyaphikwa the best players because ngangigolkeeper kwathiwa okay Linda hamba udlalela ma under 17 umnyaka wakho utawuncishiswa
true
from there iidea yakhiwa kabusha kusukela ngasebenzisa lo mnyaka loyo kusukela kunama players mhlambe lengase ngiyawasho namuhla players ladlala kuma under 23 for a national team for about 6 or 7 years, which is wrong. I take a move. In some African countries, vele bayakwenza kuze baphumelele. But asasinike the younger players. hambisa lama under 15. If a player is under 15 mhambisa udlale kuma under 17 because in 2 years time vele utaba na 17 aqhubeke lo mdlali adlale kuma under 17.
Now, Badabadlari Master, as they were leaving the Sunday I was talking about, Bahambagi, the first game they played, the only game to have played actually, they won, they lost, 2-0 against South Africa. Now, after being disqualified again, Master, now they can't be part of EAFCON, 17, they can't be not involved in the World Cup qualifiers, under 17, all these things that we've lost. Now,
what if we win Vamabom?
Good question.
What if sengiyasho ukuthi what if
ngoba kule squad less Master ngathi kuna about 3 or 4 players from Premier League
because ikodlala kulama vele sikhuluma ngayo nje kusuka la South Africa imali lephumako.
True.
So ngithi mina what if bekinve ngamabomu asifuni lokhokha le mali.
That's a what if. Master is not accusing anyone. Another issue that we touched on, Nungromshina Master, MRA, Sivetile, according to the sources, it's 10,000 who test machine. So we let's say we take away 20 players, that's 200,000.
200,000.
Master, there is what we call also PCCA, Ngatsingi pre cardiology examination yokuhlola infitio yemdlali ukuthi sithinking ngayini and ngathi nayo bayenda leyo and nayo inema cost yayo. And remember Master, sine incident in the country where an international player once passed away on the land due to this issue of medical. So another issue of medical has landed on us. So now since umuntu waka FIFA noma CAF uthi ngivulelela kunama comments noma ma reports yaka Football Association Eswatini ku FIFA noma ku CAF khona lokuhle yini ngakukhanza Master right now.
In fact utsenza indzaba lenye Fabrice indzaba ya Papi Fati laba ikhuluma ukuthi eSouth Africa basho ukuthi akavumeleki ukuthi ayidlale ibhola because akekho fit ukuthi angayidlala but wafika la kangwane and samdlalisa and kwaba netunkulumo ukuthiwa abadlali bacheckiwe kwase sekuvela le nhlekelele ukuthi abese soyashona lelisho lokuthi bese soyashona. Asayarize ama question ukuthi udlala njani lo mdlali kaniphela eSouth Africa na kunyalo isigameko sema under 17 iFootball Association sita appeal okay
Master, okay maybe this is we're not favoring anyone. This is the national team under 17, so ngifuna si support. I'm not trying to say ukuthi Master usitshele ukuthi FA guilty noma cha isiket because they have appealed. They will appeal to COSAFA about this issue. Ngivile Mr. Thulani Ngwenya is
okay man Fabrice cela singahambi kakhulu indzaba ye-appeal si appealela the very same tournament.
No siyaphila ukuthi besikwendile lokho but nyalo phela the disqualification masitha nama churches ukuthi we can't take part in other tournament. Ku disqualify ukuthi kuaphilila ukuthi besikwendile lokho kufanele sikwende. But nyalo sitshela ukuthi ngeke sibe part of menanzane.
Yeah, cause mina I believe ukuthi nangabe
Mr. Ndogozo and the goalkeeper coach.
Yes. I believe ukuthi i-competition yonke ine-DC yayo but le issue lena yaka CAF vele kudinga ukuthi ba-appeal ku CAF. So le ngibute kona ukuthi if sisijakale appeal lokusho ukuthi le competition bekumele ukuthi imiswe le ma under 17 COSAFA imiswe size siwine le appeal lokusho ukuthi kubuya kwema under 17 eSwatini ngani sa appealile ukutshela something naloko.
Kuthiwa Thulani Ngwenya, this is another trending man, of course, who is the report that once this issue started coming, I think people have been talking about it, but he also in the one of the local media, print media, highlighting that this MRA we're talking about does not tell you how old you are. Nangabe kune tournament le tsinza mine Fabrice Msonera ngeke itsithe Fabrice Msonera u above 25, but utawusho ukuthi cha Fabrice ngeke abe part of the tournament kusebenza kanjalo. And waveta ukuthi vele na Eswatini bayihlolile, but umbuto losalako lomkhulu ukuthi nangabe uya kuma reports nyalo ye CAF, uya kuma reports nyalo ye football ye governing board ye FIFA emhlabeni khona lokuhle yini ngawukhanza ngathi uthi indzaba ye Papi Fati wasishiya emhlabeni ngesizathu sekuthi beyanenkinga enhlitiyo. This is another issue. Let's not talk about what happened with Sabelo Skarinziniza, not to attack him, but where are we as a country? Sime kanjani Master?
Fabrice ngicabanga ukuthi sawuthola isikhathi sikhulumise leyo ukhuluma indzaba ya Papi Fati sengiyakhumbula ukuthi Anele Nqonqa South African football player ube sesiyashiya namhla ekseni emhlabeni siyamkhumbula adlaleni Mamelodi Sundowns bekumele aye kuMaZulu wadlala kakhulu ngeBelgium mina nje ngimathi icala kumathi Anele Nqonqa before the 2010 World Cup abedlala khona overseas adlala ke nama players Kevin De Bruyne wadlala naye ku Genk eBelgium Thibaut Courtois goalkeeper Madrid wadlala naye ku Belgium may soul rest in peace na Anele Nqonqa bese sekubana lenye ke mhlambe teste sayute kancane Ahmed CAF president ususpendiwe by FIFA nge-breach some of letinye tivumelwano babo na FIFA ngicabanga ngihlale ngisho ukuthi ibhola ayisiyo yebamvu laba hambisa tinvo kahle ifootball is a dirty sport because not so long ago washo president waka FIFA ukuthi bamsupporta Mr Patrice Motsepe ukuthi angastanda for elections CAF na kunyalo basuspenda one of bantu labatawungenela lelikhetho la CAF president asati noma kumnika advantage in Patrice Motsepe.
More research to be done on this topic, of course. Coming Thursday, Master will be in the studio in the company of Patrice Motsepe to tell you more about what this story is about, Football Association and Under 17. Of course, interviews will be there. People involved in different areas will touch on that. This is Anele Nqonqa. This is him in the kit of Bafana Bafana. I think it's a player we can
50
say
caps for Bafana Bafana.
He has done his part, and I think a lot is going to be missed about him. May his soul rest in peace. Spuma Master, Manchester United. Yes, speak.
Oh yes. First division. Suppose sakhohlwa Fabrice just a minute. Manchester United as speak is first division. Ba winning ke Fabrice game yabo by draw 1-1, but bafika second leg by winner 8-1. Ba hambile ke ba first division 9-2, but lokho siyakhuluma kahle this day.
They have it. Come Thursday, a lot of developments will be taking place to find out what has happened to the Kingdom of Eswatini. This station, this sport team will continue to hold different investigations to find out what really happened pertaining to this issue of under 70. If it means to get reports from FIFA or CAF, we have to get the reality about that. We are all about fair and we are about accuracy. Otherwise, if this is what has happened to the country, if it is true, it is allegedly happening right now, but if it's true that we did cheat, asidlale kamnanzi.